That wasn't a screenshot. That was live. See the hair now? I can get kind of an Einstein thing here.
We're surrendering again.
We surrender. There's nobody here. Our YouTube live just blew up on a talk about surrendering and resilience. And and we're back. So welcome back to the 3 of you, to the 7 of you, to the 40, 50 or more of you that are here now, and soon to be 100. And by the time this is through, 1,000. We are back. And what just took place, Pookie Bear?
A major crash and burn.
Yes, we had a major crash and burn.
Our internet went out for like a minute.
Yeah, our internet went down for a minute, a hiccup, and then YouTube wouldn't recognize that we were back. And so here we are, and we want to talk with you. If you didn't catch the beginning, I don't think we want to go through the whole beginning story again. Basically, the brief synopsis of things is last week met with a medium who told me that I have all of these warriors on one side of me and with strong masculine energy, and then other guys on the other side of me with a strong feminine energy. And the warriors were standing forward too much, symbolically representing me pushing forward, me trying too hard, me trying to be Sisyphus and pushing the rock uphill. Maybe this sounds familiar to you too. We all do it at times. We all get trapped in the doingness, in the busyness, in the I must go in order to succeed. In other words, we all get stuck in the fear of life. It is fear that drives us forward. It is fear that says, actually, I think we did kind of well with it, relatively speaking. I was like, I don't know if we continue. I don't know what to do when this thing blows up. But it is fear that says, I must push, I must strive, I must drive. I'm in charge in life. And actually, I think it went down right after I said, I'm in charge in life, or something to that effect. Really? I was talking about us not being in charge, and specifically, if you get that job, if you get that magic phone call. And magic phone call is the last thing I said. Because when the magic phone call comes in that says, you got this job, you got this lead, you got this money, you got this whatever, it's never something we specifically did. It always comes out of the ether. You can't say the greatest things in your life you had total control over. None of us did. And that's when it blew up. When we were talking about letting go of total control. It's kind of cool. Thank you, universe, for being such a trickster filled with coyote energy. We are so appreciative. I wonder if pumpkin had something to do with that. Can I have the flag? I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. So when the goodness comes in our lives, we get to realize it's not coming from us. After this event that I had, after this medium session, I was told that if I surrendered, if I got off of the gas, assistance would come to help us with the show. Assistance would come with helping us to reach millions. Assistance would come and helping us to get out the TV show that we're developing. And an hour and a half later, I got a phone call. I didn't even know till the next day, of a network that wants us to have our audio show on their channel. We met the next day. We were at a parade and met with somebody, a homie of ours. She's the coolest in the world, who owns TV show after TV show after TV show. And then we met another person who invited us to a conference, to a summit. That's something that I wanted to go to for years, with world leaders when it comes to the environment, it comes to energy, it comes to the earth. And I was like, wow, all of that came out of walking out of that session and going, I don't know exactly what to do. I don't pretend to have the answers, but I will surrender to an even deeper level. I will let go. That's what I want to talk with you about, because if we don't let go, if we hold on and a big stiff wind comes, we snap, break, or fall over. If we're willing to bend, to be flexible, to be like a palm tree, then when that wind comes, and it will blow, it always does, we will be more relaxed and allow into it. And that's what I'm talking about tonight, about how to be more resilient. So with that said, a brief Housekeeping, if you didn't catch the first thing. First off, we've got just a few coaching spots left for the end of the summer. If you're interested in coaching to help you become more resilient, to help you make great changes in this year and before this year. I can't believe I'm going to say before this year is up. So meaning before we get into the fall. Then come over to inspirenationshow.com/coaching. Sign up for a free one-on-one strategy session with me to see if coaching is right for you. This is specifically if you're interested in coaching. Secondly, iMeditations, we are so excited, is going to be out. At least a teaser is going to be out in the next few weeks. If you come on over to inspirenationshow.com in the next few days, we're going to have up where you can get a whole bunch of free meditations. The Super Pookie here is making a portal, is making a site where it's imeditations.com, where you're going to be able to access over time the world's largest collection of meditations. And we're going to be adding dozens of new meditations each and every month from myself, from Jessica, from all of our guests, from more. And we are going to try to make the largest, most accessible collection of meditations in the world for you. Super excited about it. Last, come on over to patreon.com/InspireNation if you want to become a member of the Inspire Nation family. Free tools, tips, videos, and I'm working to get on a regular basis to get images and daily or bi-daily guidance, words of wisdom for you that I'm working on right now. And it's very very affordable, and it's a great way to support the show because we're 100% supported by you, our audience. With that said, let's talk about bending with the breeze. I want to talk to you about surrender versus surrender light, a term that Jessica came up with. So surrender, we can surrender here. I surrender. I'm waving the white kitty flag here. There's a difference between a complete and total and surrender light. A complete and total surrender is going on the couch, grabbing bonbons and going, I give up, and not doing anything about life. Nothing good comes from resigning to misery. Really, that's what it's all about. On the other hand, if you say, God, source, universe, I surrender, and I'm willing to do the work to step forward in whatever that looks like, magic happens. That's where all these things started popping for me after I got out of this medium session by simply saying, I surrender. I don't have a clue what to do. Here's my surrender again. But I am willing to do the work. So let's talk about how we surrender. First off, you can simply say, I surrender, or I give it up to you, God, source, or higher power. Or one of my all-time favorite guests and authors is Tosha Silver, author of Oneness, Awareness. I can see her book cover in my head. Outrageous Openness, is that it? I believe it's Tosha Silver, Outrageous.
I think so.
I think it's Outrageous Openness. And she talks about surrendering to the divine, giving it all up to a higher power and saying, you drive the ship. Just the very act of saying, I surrender.
Outrageous Oneness.
Outrageous Oneness. Thank you, Nicole. Just that very act shifts and changes everything. Secondly, you can write about it. You can journal about it with your white flag pen. You can journal about it in the morning. You can journal about it in the evening. I was writing about it this morning. I was saying to my angels, to my guides, to whomever is there, I was going, I don't know how to take this next step, but I need help. And I'm not the kind of law of attraction person who says, you can't say need, you can't say please, you've got to just say thanks as if it's already there. I think that's all hogwash. It's all about the energy. And this energy was, I need help. Help me, please. And I don't know what's the next step, but you can write about it and see what comes to you. You can literally repeat a mantra. This is something I do in my darkest moments. It's something I did when iTunes hiccuped and we lost the show early this spring for a few days. I think it was less than a week when the show was off air on iTunes because you're watching us on YouTube. But we're even more popular on iTunes, although YouTube is rapidly taking the lead now, or coming into the lead, I guess is the best way to describe it. But we're 5 days a week on iTunes, and the show was gone. And so what was I doing? I was going, God, source, universe, this is your show. I need help getting it running again. What do? I didn't panic. I didn't sweat things. I did work my tail off to try to figure things out. But I allowed into it and said, I give it to you, divine. In fact, that whole evening before we heard anything back from iTunes, I was going, I give it to you, divine. I give it to you, divine. I give it to you. Next, stop pushing. When you find yourself banging against a wall. So we've been working to chop up videos for YouTube and come up with shorter, more bite-sized segments, and would love your take. Please write us in the chat room. Let us know what you think about having like 15-minute snippets on top of having our hour-long format, but having shorter, more digestible pieces. And when we were running into what appeared to be block after block, instead of pushing our heads against the wall, we step back and go, how is this here to serve me? What can I learn from this? What is this telling me? You didn't delete our first video, did you?
What are you talking about?
The first video from earlier tonight.
No.
Oh, okay. I see on her screen, she's next to me, and instead of a chat window, I saw, are you sure you want to permanently delete this? And when you're running a show, you're going, oh my gosh, but even that, I would surrender to. When a block comes up, ask, how is this here to serve me? How is this here to steer me? In fact, ask for answers and guidance. There's no such thing as asking too much. Then, if that doesn't work, try going around or in a different direction. I want this job so much, but I keep getting resistance here. I keep getting resistance there. I keep getting resistance the other place. I want this person to be my friend, my partner, my lover, but I get resistance here. I get resistance there. I get resistance in another direction. First off, you can stop. A simple pause. Breath may be all that you need. Secondly, you can move forward in a little bit slower of a fashion. I keep this on my desk. This is my little tortoise. I haven't named it. Maybe it's like Harry or something, but this is my little tortoise that I keep in front of me whenever I'm doing an interview and whenever I'm coaching to remind me how much more slowly can I move? How much more can I relax into things and simply allow? And then the next option is to say, is there a different direction? Maybe it's not that person as my partner, my friend, my whatever. Maybe it's not this job. Is there another direction that I get to go in? Remember, if you're meeting resistance, the expression goes, and is so true, what you resist persists. In fact, the more that you push against something, the more resistance you're going to get. Then go to prayer. Ask for guidance. Ask for guidance in your dreams. It's something I love to do. Whoa. Ask for guidance in your dreams. Oh, bear with me one second. Is there a way to get back to the chat window, or is it not allowing you?
Which chat window?
This chat window. Because I think that might be the best way to help people right now. What do you think?
I'm just putting a link on the first video. So
Brilliant. Okay, because it's hard as you're going back and forth with Windows. I guess this is me surrendering. I surrender.
Don't look at my computer screen.
I'm trying not to look at your computer screen. But, all right. That's another example as well. Keep your eyes where they belong on your own computer screen. So go to prayer, ask for guidance in your dreams or through synchronicities to show up. And then step back, and step back some more. Meditate. Go quiet. Breathe. Nap. Or simply slow down. These are the opposite of busyness, of striving, of pushing, of trying to get that stone to go uphill. And what happens is it gives universe the chance to ring you up and give you goodness. When we're trying so hard, our hands are clamped shut. There's no way to accept anything that's coming to us. But instead, if we slow down and breathe, the opportunity arises for universe to give us a gift. So before we open it up to questions, how do I know if I've surrendered? First, you find yourself back in a place of flow. Things feel easier. You feel more relaxed. Synchronicities start coming to you. The phone rings, an email comes in, you bump into somebody on the streets or at an Aspen parade. Everything becomes easier. You feel more confident, you feel more capable, even as the winds or change are blowing. Now, if you listened to this before, you know I am a huge fan of automatic writing. In fact, I'll toot our own horn here. It's been our most life-changing and transformative tool for us and for all of our coaching clients and for our upcoming coaches who are in our coaching certification program, automatic writing. And we have automaticwriting.com, and I highly recommend you check it out. It is a life changer. But through a journaling technique like this, a third-person journaling exercise, you can ask, what's going on? How do I surrender? What can I learn from this? And it can help you to step back and see what's going on so that you're not pushing that stone uphill. So with that said, going to open it up to some questions now. Thank you guys so much for your patience with all of the technical difficulties. And thank you, Jessica, for getting a link to get everybody over here. All right, let's see if we have any questions here.
From the first live stream version,
Yes.
Rouge Red had asked a question about fear. I don't have it in front of me anymore, but it was something about how to move past fear.
So Rouge Red, that is a brilliant question. In fact, we have an interview coming out in just a couple of days from Dr. Carla Manley, specifically on a whole bunch of techniques to move past fear. My favorite technique to move past fear is the opposite of moving past fear. It is to lean into the fear, to learn from the fear, to feel the fear. And I'm the first to admit, maybe even to hop up and down with the fear or say, I am afraid, and then write about it, journal about it, go into the woods, scream about it. You don't want to feed the fear, but you want to find out what this is. Feel it out. If it's in your gut, put your hands on your belly and say, all right, fear, let's have you get bigger. Let's have you get bigger. Let's have you get, and like an overinflated balloon, it may pop. And on the other side, you can see what's there. I'm also a huge, huge fan of EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. And so let's say that you're afraid of, I'm afraid of the YouTube live blowing up. I can say, I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm afraid of the YouTube live blowing up. Even though I'm afraid of the YouTube live blowing up, even though I'm afraid, I'm abridging here, even though, I would have you repeat this phrase actually 3 times at least in your head over each of these 8 different points. And it helps short out the fear in the nervous system. Next, Rouge Red, I would write about it and ask, how is this fear here to serve me? I'm not about squashing emotions. I'm not about hiding them. I'm not about, oh, this is a positive psychology. All I want to do is think positive thoughts, because what you think about is what you bring about. No, what you stuff down is what blows up. And so you want to write about this and learn and see what's there. Rouge Red, let me let you in on a secret. I have fear. I have fear right now. I have fear when we went down. I have fear before each and every interview. Fear is fuel. When pointed in the right direction, it is actually excitement in disguise. I'm excited about this. There's also a lot of energy behind it, like creative angst, like getting all frustrated before you go and write a masterpiece, before you go and paint a masterpiece, before you do anything great. We often experience excitement masquerading as fear. So we don't sweat the fear. We step forward anyway, after we ask, how is this here to serve me? Because we want to get a clue. If we're on the edge of a cliff, maybe we're supposed to keep going, and that fear is excitement, or maybe it's telling us, step back from the ledge. And so we want to write about it, and we want to go quiet and listen. So yeah, Rouge Red, the last note on this is like something bad is going to happen. So I have this gene, Rouge Red, and this gene I was gifted I think from both of my parents, certainly from my mom, she's a huge Patriots fan, grew up in New England. And whenever a Patriots game would be on, she would go, particularly the playoffs, hide in the other room because I love you, Mom. But she was afraid that by watching the game, she could cause something bad to happen. This is something she'd been taught by her parents. This is something that was probably taught to her parents and her parents' parents and so forth down the line. I'm not sure if it was something that came out of World War II and the Holocaust, if it was something that was multi-generational or even dozens of generations beforehand. But it's a fear that if I don't do exactly the right thing, or even if I just sit here, something may blow up. The good news is the odds are very slim in this. The better news is we can use this as steering and positive energy. We do want to work to release it, and it could even be a lifetime's work. It's something that the medium said that I have been in this locomotive mode of making great change in the world for many, many lifetimes, and I don't know easily how to get off the train. And that fear is part of my fuel. Now, I personally am working to slow down even more, meditate more, take more time. You can see the hummingbird feeders behind me, more time with the birds, more time with Pookie, and more time to slow down. Because while that fear may be a part of my inherent or innate wiring, doesn't mean I have to live with it this whole time, but that may be part of the wiring or bias I came in with. I can actually use it to do the reverse, to work on the flip side of that coin. All right, let's see if we have another beautiful, beautiful question.
Daniel writes, I feel that I have experienced quite a lot of loss, status, financial, relationship. How do I handle the sense of loneliness and loss?
Two maybe distinct things, Daniel, maybe not. So, okay, yes, we have loneliness. Let's take this one piece at a time. And first off, Daniel, in a manly way, I want to give you the biggest hug and let you know it's going to be all right. We all go through tremendous loss, and I do not want to make light of it at all. But we all get at some point, maybe not all of us, but no, I'm going to say all of us. Some people may not experience a financial loss. Some people may not experience a relationship loss. Some people may not experience a status loss. But maybe it's a health loss or a loss of spirituality. Mother Teresa, from what I understand, felt like she was in great communication with God for all of the early years in her life. And then God went silent. Can you imagine being a nun, running this whole place yourself, feeling like this is your God-given task, and then having communication with something greater than yourself? Stop, cease, it's gone. And how would you weather that storm? So we all, no matter who we are, no matter what, how much greatness, and we all have greatness inside of us. It's almost an unfair question. No matter how great we are, we all experience loss. If we can recognize it as our greatest teacher, if we can recognize that something, not when it comes to the death of a loved one, but something better can come out of this. If we can recognize that we can choose to step into our authentic greatness, not despite this, but because of this, then again, that can be transformed into fuel. Does it mean you have that same relationship back? No, not at all. Though maybe it could happen. Does it mean that you get your status back? Maybe in a completely different way, and maybe even greater than you expected. I have a coaching client who lost his relationship, lost his status, and has just been offered the most amazing job, doesn't have a relationship yet, that is going to bring him to an even higher status than he had before. I like to call this the or something better. In fact, whenever I pray, I always say, God, source, universe, I can use these interchangeably. Please help bring me X, Y, or Z for my highest good and the highest good of all, or something better. And I truly believe in the or something better, because time after time, when my butt has gotten kicked, and believe me, it has, each time something incredible has come out of it. Sometimes I know that's going to be the case in the moment, like when I exploded my first femur and hip oh God, I can't even believe I'm saying that. When I exploded my first femur and hip and I'm laying on the ground bleeding out internally, I knew something amazing was going to come of that experience. The second time, I knew it inherently, but I also knew how much pain I was going to be in first. We don't have to ignore the pain. We can take in the pain. We can appreciate the pain. We can mourn. The whole idea of, oh, just snap out of it. That's total boop, boop. No, feel the pain. Feel the mourning. Go through as much time as it takes to feel better. But then you dust yourself off. You get help if you need it. Lots and lots of help if you need it. I needed lots and lots of help. And then you get yourself out there again, being open in a state of surrender for the or something better. So I want to send you all my love. I know something great can come out of it. We have had challenge after challenge in our lives is the best way to put it. And each time it is, I'm not sure if it's Anthony Williams. No, it might be Matt Kahn. Matt Kahn, I believe, would say it. Each challenge in our lives has actually been an upgrade. You go down, you come back up higher. You go down, you come back up higher. We just have to let go of the attachment that it has to be this certain way. It has to be this certain job. It has to be this certain status. It even has to be this certain person. In fact, when I blew up my femur and hip, the first one, as I lay there on the ground, I said, at least I've got my fiance. Life is good. That was part of my thinking in there somewhere. And within the next 2 weeks, that had blown up too. And guess what? Thank God it blew up, because this precious being came out of that experience. I didn't even know you at the time, did I?
I don't know what you're talking about.
She's been running the chat window. What I'm saying is, after NDE number 1, I'm there and they're laying there broken on the trail. I said to myself, at least I've got my fiance.
Oh, right.
I call that time period the festivities, because within 2 weeks, she was gone. She made a repeat appearance when Jessica came into my life. Not the happiest appearance, but she did reappear. And I do send her all the love in the world. But the point is that breaking off, that shattering of the old was necessary to make way for the new. Nothing she'd like to add about that. And she doesn't have to add anything about it.
Well, the reappearance wasn't really that much of an appearance. I think you were running, you were barefoot running. I was cycling, maybe filming you, and her and her twin sister were running in the opposite direction. Yeah. So we just passed each other.
And we just passed each other a few more times, and then we moved. We did move. We did, because I remember.
Where was I?
I remember the look on her face. We discussed it at the house, but that's a whole nother story. And the thing is, you can't be resentful for wherever somebody is at in life, because this is the hologram. This is the dream world. When we pass away, which is really just a doorway, we came through a doorway to get into this world. We'll pass through another doorway to go to the other side again. And when we're there, we're going to recognize, I'm convinced, I don't have this lifetime first person proof of this, but I'm convinced when you're on the other side, you will find that every key player in your life was like somebody in your soul group who was there, a teacher to help you on your path. And we each wear different masquerades or different costumes during this lifetime to help guide people on our way. So we send everybody love, even if, maybe even especially if they seem to be dancing the Macarena on our hearts. Do we have another question?
Yes, we do. Tammy writes,
yes.
I keep seeing things about reading, i.e. taking time to read, adverts with reading, tapping about reading. Other than the obvious, is there something else? Just would like your opinion.
Tammy, if I kept getting stuff about reading, I would start reading. What would I start reading is the question. And I would start reading, this is going to be sacrilege compared to what you learned in school. Don't start reading what you feel you have to read. Start reading what you feel you are called to read. I don't know where to begin. Go to your local bookstore, if there still is one in existence, and I pray there is. Go in there and almost see what books fall off the shelves. See what calls to your heart. That's what's coming from spirit. And that's where you want to begin of pulling this golden thread, or pulling what one of the most amazing human beings out there calls your golden breadcrumbs. So, or divine breadcrumbs, divine breadcrumbs. Start seeing what calls to you. But when I hear read, 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 I think it's time to read. If I heard stop, 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 if it wasn't that I was hitting a series of stop signs, I would think I need to pause. So when you hear things repeatedly, when you see things repeatedly, I think it means to pause and then take action. So please report back to us what it is that you felt called to read. Next.
Annette writes, I am in extreme pain for hours, need help. And I asked if it's chronic physical pain. She says yes.
So chronic physical pain, Annette, I have experienced this, although I haven't had fibromyalgia or anything of this sort. I have been hospitalized with some extreme injuries. And first off, yes, ask for help. See what help you can get. If there is truly no help available, if this is a condition that despite the strongest pain medication, there is seemingly nothing that can be done for it. And I would always say, reach out further and reach out further and go way beyond Western medicine. Then what I would do is in my moments, well, first off, this is going to sound awful. I would breathe into the pain and stop trying to push it away, which is fatiguing and makes the pain greater. And instead I would breathe in and welcome, this is going to sound crazy, welcome in the pain. You can't push that much pain away. Next thing I would do is things like tapping, like I did earlier today, because there is physical pain. I mean, all pain is physical on some level, but there's physical pain caused by such that, let's say, your nerves firing and being inflamed, in which case we will really want to knock down that inflammation. It can be from having a break or some traumatic event. That's real, but let's say that pain is a 7, 8, or 9. Then we have psychological pain on top of that. Fear really is what we're talking about, that makes it a 10 or even makes it a 10x, 100 times more powerful. If we can do things like a tapping exercise, we can take that psychological or fear-based edge off of it and start to dial down the pain. Going back to tapping again, you could say, I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm in the most pain I've ever been in my life. Notice, I love myself completely and fully, positive. Even though I'm in the most pain I've ever been in my life, negative. Those two start to cancel each other out. And then we tap on one of 8 different acupressure points, which sends a relax signal to the nervous system and helps cancel out some of that fear. I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm in the most pain I've ever been in my life. And you do that 3 or 4 or 5 times, as many times as you like. I love myself completely and fully, even though I'm in the most pain I've ever been in my life. You do that 3, 4, 5 times. I love myself, and you repeat here, love myself, repeat here, love myself, repeat here, myself, repeat here, love myself, repeat here, love myself, repeat here. And then on top of that, I would go to prayer and I would say, God, angels, guides, I can't take this. I can't do this on my own. Please help me now. Not trying to make fun of it, but I surrender, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. And then lastly, I would go to crank up that self-love to the max as much as you possibly can. I'm a huge fan of the Hawaiian prayer, the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian healing or forgiveness prayer. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. All pain has an inflammation component. Anxiety is inflammation. Fear is inflammation. Depression is inflammation. Overwhelm is inflammation. Certainly having a car parked on your foot is going to create inflammation. But this is an inflammatory, reducing prayer. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. I'd repeat that over and over and over again. And then in your brighter moments, I would do your homework. What other experts are out there? What other people who are more holistic, integrative, practicing Eastern medicine outside of the norm are outside of the Western medicine world? Nothing against Western medicine for breaks, for emergency surgery, for things this sort. It's the greatest thing in the world, but for long-term chronic pain, Western medicine typically lets us down because there's always a mind, body, spirit component. So start digging into that don't give up faith. Surround yourself with loved ones, if at all possible. And if not, call in angel spirits, guides. We are not alone. We couldn't be alone no matter how much we tried. And say, I need your assistance. Elders, guides, wisdom keepers, whomever. Or call in like Archangel Michael, a warrior, a protector, and say, I need help now. So we send you all our love.
Tammy asked, is there anything natural besides caffeine to provide energy?
Oh.
I mentioned ginseng because it's in our herbs. And yerba mate for some people, but it doesn't work for me.
It depends on what we're talking about for energy. So on the pure supplement side of things, I like those things. I think those are good. We can also look at, is there adrenal fatigue going on? Is there a thyroid condition going on? In which case we can support the adrenals, lots of stuff, black licorice, all sorts of holistic medicines, all sorts of homeopathic medications as well. And I would get with a practitioner and see what the possibilities are there. If it's thyroid, there's lots of things that can be done to support your thyroid. So it's worth looking into. So a big question is, why am I down on energy? The first thing that I'm going to go to is the easiest and hardest to get, but is my go-to when it comes to energy. Are we getting enough sleep? And traditionally, or typically, what I'm going to hear is no, and I can't fall asleep. In which case we need to look, and we have a whole program on sleeping, on how I can get a better night's rest. Some key things: getting a routine in place, regular exercise, being outside at sunrise or sunset to sync our body clock back with the natural cycle of the earth, getting off of this thing, getting off of your computer, getting off of your phone in the early evening so we're not stimulated by blue light. But sleep is the most powerful thing. Staying away from sugar and sweeteners and additives, which may give you a spike, may give you a burst of energy, may be like flavor crystals in your mouth, but then crash you hard. And one of the most counterintuitive ones is more exercise. Frequently getting moving more gets your energy unstuck and gives you more energy throughout the day. So if somebody comes to me and says, I don't have time to exercise, or I don't have the energy to exercise, I'm going to be like, you need exercise twice as much. And then meditate, meditate, meditate. Oftentimes, all of our energy is going to spinning the monkey mind. It's interesting when people go, duh, what's going on is too much thinking going on over here. And that's incredibly fatiguing. If we can go from to we find we have a lot more energy in reserves.
She says, wow, I eat too much sugar. That might be it.
That is a huge, huge, huge one. What's next on our fun list?
Daniel,
and keep up the great questions.
Daniel writes, what teachers, healers, or mediums has Inspire Nation most benefited from?
That is an interesting question. Most benefited from. I mean, I've loved our readings that we've gotten from Colette, that we've gotten from Paul Selig, Colette Barron-Reed, Paul Selig. I can't remember her name right now. New York City, gave her book away when we lived in North Carolina. She gave a beautiful reading for us. Kim Russo, absolutely. All of them. More recently, from California, who said that Hana is circling us and that she'll be back around.
Oh, yeah, the name will come to me.
Is it Kevin?
No.
Okay. I'll stop right there.
You're really bad at guessing names.
I am really bad at guessing.
Especially when we run into somebody in public and you're like, is it? And then you're totally off. Anyway.
It will come to her. But all of these guides have been helpful. Yes, the answers are always within, but we typically have our own filter that things come through. And so if we can step outside of our filter by getting advice or guidance or people who, so for instance, I believe my automatic writing is extremely powerful and is almost always spot on. and it's been telling me to relax and slow down and stop pushing. But it's one thing to get out of my pen, relax, slow down, stop pushing. It's another thing to sit down with somebody and they say, I see all these warriors to your right side, and they all keep stepping forward, armed to the teeth with their swords. They have a message for you. You go, holy crap. And getting things in those different ways, I feel, can be exceptionally beneficial. It's not a David somebody. You'll find.
No,
we'll
no.
He's my homie too. I want to visit him when we're out in California, and I can't believe I'm not remembering his name. So it will come to me. All right. Whom else do we have? And thank you, Daniel.
Lavita writes, what are your best tricks to clear your mind and be present?
Best tricks to clear mind and be present. Breath, 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 breath. Breathing in and out to the heart. In, out. Always through the nose, which calms things down. And in and out. Now, if I need a mindfulness tool, I can do simply squirm my butt on this chair, feel that. Feel my feet on the floor or on the bottom of the stool beneath me, where my hands, maybe they're even on the steering wheel or handlebars if I'm riding the bicycle, and ask, am I present? And just the very act of asking, am I present, brings me back to that sweet present moment and takes me from dwelling about something in the future or something in the past and helps start to quiet that mind. Now, I also like to do, on top of full-on meditations, going for runs, being with nature, going to the edge of the most jaw-dropping scene, whether that's a pond, a lake, a mountain, the Grand Canyons, but going someplace that takes my breath away. And nature can do that, and you will stop all thought as well. So brilliant, brilliant question. Time for a few more. Not sure the exact minute we'll wrap things up, but want to get a few more questions in here.
My question for you is, what are you currently working on letting go of?
Ooh. I'm letting go. I'm letting go of several things. One, I'm letting go of pretending to have the ruse of being somewhat in charge. You're the producer, but I tend to be the striver and the driver of things to do with Inspire Nation. And I'm saying I don't have the answers. I don't pretend to have the answers. And so I am letting go of that need to know what's coming next. We've been going back and forth on this chop, don't chop shows, but I don't pretend to have the answer there. I am surrendering into even that. I am also surrendering. I'm convinced we're going to have a worldwide phenomenal TV show, something incredibly special. Between you and me and everybody listening, I have no idea how this is going to come about. I completely surrender into it. I also know that we are going to be taking steps in the baby journey, in having more free time, in being able to step back from some of the work, which is why, hint, if you're looking for coaching, sooner rather than later is a better thing, because we're working at getting out of a lot of the busy work. I'll never stop coaching entirely, but I want more free time to do whatever is coming next. I don't pretend to have all the answers as to what that looks like or how it takes place. I surrender into even that. So forgive me, dear one, but what are you surrendering into?
Well, I would say I'm also surrendering when it comes to working out all the details of the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, simply because I know we have absolutely no idea. We have no experience. And I honestly don't want to work really hard.
I think this is key. I love what you're saying, because we have this belief in the Western world that we have to push through, we have to conquer. It's such a masculine yang way of doing things. But I think that's like beating your head against the wall. and saying, I don't know, and I don't want to work that hard. I feel called, but I'll let the universe drive.
Yeah. And, as soon as we backed off and trying to control things, we saw that the puzzle pieces start to come in. We don't know how the pieces are going to fit together, but the fact that the puzzle pieces are showing up on their own without our effort in the first place is just proof that we don't need to know how it's all going to fit. I do go to sleep, or before I go to sleep, I do ask for guidance on how everything's going to fit together. But I'm also not really in a rush either.
I think that's a key, is as much as we can stay out of that panic place of I need to it all to take place yesterday, because in an effort to rush things along, I think a word that almost rhymes with rush is crash. You push too hard, sort of like that term when one of our books came out years ago, when it was picked up by the publisher and re-released very quickly. They called it crashing the book. And what happened with the crashing of the book? It crashed. It crashed hard. And so we don't want to crash. We don't want to rush. And we have such a skewed perspective of time. Maybe it came from childhood and having to turn in papers or reports or having tests or quizzes coming up. We believe that if we don't get things taken care of yesterday, that nothing's going to work out. And I'm convinced and I know the TV show is going to work, if this TV show is to work, and I use that word specifically here, it will only work out if we surrender, if we let go, and if we go at a pace that is not our own.
It might work out if we meddled a lot in it, but I don't think it would be as big as it could be. I think when we create the goals ourselves, they're very limited. And we have enough life experience now that when we look back in our lives and we look at all the projects that went bigger than expected, we would have never have been able to imagine how that would have happened on our own.
And conversely, when we look at all the projects that we just kept pushing and weren't working out, it was because we were stuck in our fishbowl. I was stuck in my fishbowl, holding on so tight to the outcome, put that in quotes, that I believed, don't put that in quotes, was best. I'll put that in quotes. And that belief in what was best wasn't allowing any wiggle room for the universe to come in and give us that or something better.
Yeah, and during those times when we were like really working the problem, it was because we were in a constant state of fear.
Yes.
And so all of our decisions were based in fear.
And that's something that we get to remember continuously, is to be asking ourselves. It's such a simple and profound question at the same time. Is this coming from love? Is this coming from fear? Or simply, what would love do? And love wouldn't go, I got to get this done now. My apologies. That's not a loving statement. A loving statement might be, I get to slow down. Ooh, the turtle is glowing. I get to slow down. I get to breathe. And I get to allow the answer to come to us.
So how do you do that?
Just like I said, literally, let me go to meditate. Let me go to the breath. Let me go sit outside with the hummingbirds. Let me take time when we were in New Jersey working on everything. Let me go sit on the front stoop with my food and just be with that. Or let me go, even for if I only have the time for a 5-minute walk, let me kick myself outside into nature, even if it's just for a few minutes, to step back and away from what's ever going on. But then huge in this is prayer, and even bigger is automatic writing to get me out of my paradigm. And so when I think I have got too much going on, like I woke up, quote, late this morning, and I was like, wow, I really need to get going. I've got this interview, I've got this, I've got that. I still went and did about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, of automatic writing, of getting out of the thinking, rushing mind and getting into that heart-centered space to hear what was most important. And for yourself, what do you do?
I'll lay on the floor with the kitty cats.
I like it. In fact, I think it was Roulette Red. Somebody mentioned earlier about cats or dogs going there.
I will go outside and I'll lay on the lounge chair and watch all the animals.
We have, I don't know how many varieties of birds right now. We have hundreds of hummingbirds at the house at just about any moment. I don't know if you've been able to see them behind us swarming around. And we have chipmunks, skippies, which are like a little bit bigger than a chipmunk and are actually in the squirrel family, but look like a chipmunk. Squirrels, baby squirrels, occasionally baby chipmunks, and who knows what else that aren't just around the house. They're on our deck at pretty much any moment.
Yeah, and if I stay still long enough, so when I walk out there, all the little mammals, as Michael calls them, they go scampering in all directions. Some of them dive off the deck.
Quite literally.
Because they're still getting used to us. And but if I lay on the lounge chair long enough without movement, they come back and they'll check me out from a distance. But they've been getting closer and closer. As long as I don't move. I mean, they know I'm there. They stare at me with their little food. Yeah. And
the hummingbirds have even started to do the dance in front of you. I don't know if it's some sort of a mating ritual or what.
I think so. Do you want to demonstrate?
Well, okay, there are two things. So first off, and then I want to come back to this because we got to talk about your painting. First off, boy hummingbirds really want to display their prowess and their ability to play chicken to the females. And so they'll go and pump themselves up as high as they can. And then with this amazing trill, point themselves straight down to the earth at speeds exceeding 60 miles an hour for a 2-inch long creature and pull up at the very last second so that the girl goes, oh. And then they'll go back up and they'll do it again. And then they'll go, and they'll go back up and do it again. And then that's the first dance that they do. And I think the second dance is more closer to, I don't know what time. I'm not going to say because I don't know for sure. Happy time. And they'll do this little zoop, 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 back and forth.
So the female hummingbird was on the ground. And I've never really seen hummingbirds hang out on the ground, but she was sitting on the ground and she was looking up at the male hummingbird. And what was he doing? Zoom, 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 zoom. And her head was like, oh. It was the cutest thing.
And they're starting to do that more around us and more around you. So being with the animals, connecting with nature is certainly a way that you can do that. And then tell us about your watercolors.
Yeah, so I've been spending more time doing my artwork. And actually, this was something that came up. Somebody asked about energy. I think it was Tammy. I'm finding I get more energy when I'm engrossed in things that bring me joy.
It's a great point. You're plugged into a fire hose of the universe.
Yeah. So for me, artwork is that. And yeah, it's very meditative for me. I'm actually finding it just as blissful as meditation. But maybe that's because lately my mind's been kind of busy and meditation hasn't been as quiet as it has been in the past.
It's interesting. I was looking at my watch earlier today, and it's a Vivo Active 3 by Garmin. And I'm not saying that because I get paid from them, because we don't, but maybe we should. But it monitors your stress levels. And before my interview earlier today, it was, for some reason, quite an intimidating, thick book, lots of sciencey stuff. And I had this block of stress. And then it came time for the interview, and I went into my heart coherence work. I was breathing in love, sending out love. In fact, with my bracelet, which I don't have on me right now, I was going, I send love, I send love, I send love. And when I got done with the meditation, yes. When I got done with the interview, I was more refreshed, recharged. I didn't want to be on the computer anymore, mind you. But my watch showed that for the last hour, I had been in a state of relaxation. I'm speaking before hundreds of thousands of people worldwide on doing basically a book report of a book I've just read that day. And I was in my most relaxed state. And so when you find that creative outlet, that place that gives you greatest joy, you know that's coming from someplace special because you'll lose track of time and you feel so much better afterwards. And that's what your painting does for you.
Yes. And what you just described for you would be the opposite of bringing me joy and relaxation and yeah. So
for most of the world population, at least the Western world, public speaking, people would choose death over public speaking. And so, I am a little bit nervy, shall we say, before some of the interviews, not most of the interviews. At this point, maybe one out of...
I don't know if they can see my stress levels. I guess they'll be upside down. So
those yellow lines.
Yeah, there. I'm a bit stressed right now.
and let's
it's probably because I'm not breathing.
Let's see. Yes, go to the breath. Let's see. And I'm having very low stress right now. I have occasional moments of stress, and then it's low stress or movement, as speaking gives me great joy.
So yeah, he showed me his watch earlier today, and he pointed out during the interview he had periods of blue, which is low stress, which I find miraculous.
So do I. I'm very, very thankful for this. But find those things and you'll find, and I always encourage people to find a creative outlet. When I'm working with a coaching client, I'm like, do you like to paint, draw, dance, sing, run, play tennis? What is your thing that is your creative outlet? And you want to dive into that with everything that you've got. And we've been taught since our youngest days, if it doesn't make you money, don't do it. I think there is an incredible innate value into plugging into whatever, minus maybe gaming and shooting and killing people, but whatever brings you the greatest joy.
Tammy says my eyes look stressed. Well, that could be the fact that I was crying earlier, or the fact that we went rollerblade or inline skating and wind was bothering my eyes. But I would say it was the tears.
The tears?
The tears, which probably made my eyes more sensitive to the wind. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Got time for, I think, one last question. Do we have one last question? And thank you guys so much for joining us and for hopping over after our opportunity to surrender on the earlier portion of this YouTube Live.
Let's see. Annette had asked, where do I find you for coaching?
And that's simply inspireNation.com/coaching. Still have some free. Oh, yes. Free strategy sessions, probably a few weeks out. But if you get in now, you get a free strategy session with me before the end of the summer. If not, it's going out and out and out. That's specifically if you're interested in coaching.
I missed 2 questions.
All right. Let's see if we can fit them both in.
Actually, I'm not sure if you did answer this. Lavita wrote, what are your best tricks to clear your mind and be present? Did you address that?
That we addressed. But you just brought up more, which is, to reiterate, diving into the creative process, which is a gift that we all come here with from someplace else, from someplace greater than ourselves.
Else to say about that.
Please do.
Which is, so there was a period in our lives where I would have said, oh, I don't have time to do artwork or to take a break. I still don't have time right now, and you don't have time either, with the amount of work that we have backed up.
Which is why when the medium is saying you need to blah blah blah, I'm going, oh.
Yeah,
that surrender flag.
Yes. Well, the point is,
yes.
When you feel you don't have time is really when you need to do it the most.
Mm-hmm. And when you feel, go for it.
And it re-energizes you. It clears your mind. It makes you more productive when you do actually go back to the work. If you do have work that you don't really enjoy doing anyway.
And if you feel you don't have time and so you got your foot on the gas, chances are you're being, like you said, you're being less productive and you're not looking at things from a healthy direction. It may be that if you can pause all of a sudden the idea comes to you to ask this person for help, ask this other thing, use this other program, do things a completely different way, which you would never see if you're stuck with your foot on the gas. Because if your foot is mashed to the pedal or mashed to the metal, you never see the off ramps to realize there may well be an easier way to go or a shortcut.
Okay, so next question is
Yes.
from Lori. What if I'm on the verge of a panic attack and I'm afraid to meditate?
Oh, that's a fascinating one, Lori. So if you're on the verge of a panic attack and you're afraid to meditate, usually that means to me that the ego is gone awry. And that's not picking on you, and it's nothing wrong with your ego or you. And I had PTSD for many years after I got hit by a car while racing bicycles in Europe, which is a whole nother story. And so I understand, and unfortunately, Jessica understands my panic attacks all too well. So the crazy first solution that I'm going to give you, because it serves two purposes, is go get yourself a snack. Because I can't tell you how many times a panic attack are caused by a fight or flight response, which needs sugar, not meaning literal sugar, but needs brain fuel to calm you down. So get something in you. I'm not talking about binge eating, but get something in you first and foremost. Secondly, it can calm down the system that may be screaming for fuel in case it needs to run. Next, let's see what simple exercise you can do to calm yourself down. Is it going to tapping? Is it putting your hand on your chest and saying, I love you? Is it going outside, not with a motor vehicle, and going for a walk? Is it literally discharging, screaming into a pillow? Anodea Judith is one of the most brilliant authors out there who has a book on charge. And she talks about anxiety attacks and things of this sort being having too much energy inside of us and not knowing what to do with it. And she has many, many amazing techniques. But the simplest one could be, if need be, screaming into that pillow. It could be something tactile. For instance, we have these little, I don't know what you call it, wiry things that we got in the Philippines that Jessica will put it over my head or down the back of my neck. And I will completely discharge. So find what works for you. And you can certainly give it up. This brings us full circle in this show today. Give it up to the divine, God, source, universe. I don't know how to handle this. I'm freaking out. Help me, help me, help me. Do what you can to switch gears, and then let's tap. Let's write about it. Let's do what I call an ego dump and go and grab your journal and write about what those triggers were. Then you can shred them and be done with it. But let's see what we can learn from them, because even the triggers for your panic attack are here to serve you. So send you all my love. I believe we get to wrap things up now. Jessica, is there anything last that you want to say, mention, share, or otherwise? You're thinking a cameo from Sir Meowsers?
Sir Meowsers has an upset tummy tonight, so we're not going to pick him up. But there is a love bug that happens to be awake.
Where's the love bug? I can't see her from here. She's blocked by all of the roses. We have an overabundance, not overabundance. We have just the right amount, hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of roses on a rose bush that has taken off this year to such an extent that we have to trim the roses in order to help the plant. And so we have hundreds of roses in the house right now. So this is the love bug. This is one of the other loves of my life. And she rarely will sit still for even a moment. Watcha!
She's more like a puppy than a kitty.
She requires thumping. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
she
dun,
actually
dun,
enjoys
dun, dun,
being
dun,
roughed up.
dun,
She
dun,
loves her
dun,
belly
dun,
rubbed.
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
She
dun,
loves
dun,
rides
dun, dun,
in
dun,
baskets,
dun, 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 dun,
laundry baskets,
ba, ba,
boxes.
ba, 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 ba.
She also likes to be tossed in a blanket.
Dun, 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 dun.
She's
I know this looks like I am abusing a kitty cat right here, but trust me, she loves it. I think she's going catatonic here now. She's going limp, Pookie. Look at this. Look, Pookie. Okay.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty amazing. Good job, Love Bug. On that note, for everyone out there, this is Michael, Jessica, the Love Bug, Lumi, and Sir Meowser saying,
Meow.
meow. We send you guys all our love. Have the most amazing week. We will see you here again next week. Share, like. Give us all your comments. And then come over to inspirenationshow.com and sign up to get all the meditations as they're coming out. Yay! Love you guys so much.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Good night or good morning.